Is this the oldest bone I own? I bet you're watching.
All right, welcome
phone.
back to the channel. I'm your host, EJ Parker. This is another episode of The Oldest Bone That I Own. So thanks for joining me. Today we're looking at this is a beautiful bone. I'm proud to own it. I've had this for about 2 or 3 years now, I believe. Let's take a look, shall we? Let's see what we have today. This is how old? It's 67 million years old, roughly, give or take. 67 million years old. This is a dorsal vertebrae from a hadrosaur. This is not complete, but it looks like a dinosaur bone, right? That's why I bought it initially. I mean, because, as a kid I had, you go to the museum with parents and in the, what's it called? The gift shop. After you walk through the museum, there's a gift shop full of knickknacks. I would get, because I love dinosaurs. I mean, maybe you can tell. Maybe you do as well. And you would get these, or I would get these little, like a little kit. You'd open it up and they'd be like a gemstone, and like one would be like a dinosaur bone, but it'd be the size of a Tic Tac. And it'd have like a picture of a brontosaurus. And I'm like, wow, I wonder what part of that dinosaur this little Tic Tac came from. Was it the toe? Was it like the ear bone? I don't know. But this looks like an actual chunk of dinosaur. This is a dinosaur bone. Look at this thing. We'll talk about where this was in the animal and what it helped the animal do in its daily life. So first off, to be more specific, this is Edmontosaurus, a really large species of hadrosaur. So just to kind of clarify, hadrosaur, and I'm an amateur paleontologist. If you need legal advice for paleontology matters, please consult a professional paleontologist. But anyhow, I lost my train of thought with that little spiel. Oh yeah, so hadrosaur. So hadrosaur, there's many different hadrosaurs, as you can see right here. There's different species, different sizes. They have these different extensions coming out of the back of their head, and there's like really famous species through pop cultures of different hadrosaurs, also known as duck-billed dinosaurs. I can recall watching Walking with Dinosaurs like in the late 80s. It could have been PBS, like a dinosaur special, like 1 hour special hosted by Christopher Reeves, who used to play Superman. So that was a big deal as a kid, right? So Superman talking about dinosaurs, I can recall that vividly. And there was like a feature of duck-billed dinosaurs building like a nest. So these have a few different names in pop culture. But to be specific, this is an Edmontosaurus. This is from Hell Creek. Hell Creek is a rock formation that runs through Montana, Wyoming, and the Dakotas. I believe this is from Montana. I acquired this hadrosaur bone from eBay. Oh yes, eBay. And it was from, I believe, a pawn store out west in, I think it was Montana. And they must have bought a collection, because there was a bunch of high quality pieces and they were priced really reasonably. Their price to sell, this one was $90, I believe. And I believe it's worth more. I mean, this could be worth $250 or $300 on a good day. A complete one, this is incomplete. A complete one, as you see here, I see them online for around $1,000, a little bit more or a little bit less, but roughly around $1,200, $1,000. So I have notes too, by the way. Let's talk size really quick, just to kind of help us paint a picture of what these animals are, or were. They were roughly 40 to 50 feet long, which is a bit longer than a city bus. These creatures weighed 15 tons. That outweighs the T-Rex. These lived with the T-Rex and were like T-Rex food. Hadrosaurs were kind of like the cows of that era. But they were bigger than T-Rex, and they can run 28 miles per hour, which I believe is faster than T-Rex, but don't quote me on that one. Their tails had these hardened like tendons to make them extra stiff, and one just notable thing about the hadrosaur was in 1999, a mummified hadrosaur named Dakota was discovered, and it was like a mummy dinosaur. You can see skin and muscle and tendon. It's remarkable. I'll try to find a photo, and if I do, it'll be right there. You can see it. If not, you can find it. But it's remarkable, and it makes you wonder what else is out there just waiting to be discovered. And you could discover it, but you gotta get out and look after you watch this video. And check out my song at the end. I'm writing a bunch of. I've been inspired to write a lot of music, and I'm using my antiques and ancient objects as my muse, and we're getting all kinds of fun things. So let's talk about the function of this bone in regards to what it did for this animal 60 million, roughly 70 million years ago. So as you see in this photo, the complete one, there's like an extension that goes like a broomstick that goes up, and there's like a spool, like a structure at the bottom. Now this is broken off, as you can see. It's been snapped clean off, but it would extend probably out to about here. And this if you see one of these complete, you would think, oh well, that's probably like the fin on the back of the dinosaur, or like a sail. But what it is, though you may be able to see the visible tops of it, what these are actually the anchors for the muscles and the tendons of these giant creatures to create the power and the torque these animals needed. So if you're 50 feet long, to move, just to get all that weight moving in coordination without breaking, it anchored the muscles to the backbone. So there were a row of these, right, going down the spine of the animal, and that was where the tendons were attached and the muscles, which created torque to swing the tail and to run and to walk and all that jazz. Now, a fascinating piece. Now, down here, this hole is where the spinal cord ran of the animal. This would be facing towards the tail, and this end would be facing towards the head of the animal. And that hole that you can see there actually is where the spinal cord would run. So that's amazing, and we'll get back to that. Now, these two interesting structures right here have really hard names to say, but I'm going to give it my best shot. Bear with me. They're called post-zygapophysis. Wow, post-zygapophysis. And they face the tail end of the animal. There's also ones, now this one's gone because this is like a incomplete specimen or whatever. There's ones in the front too, and those are called pre-zygapophysis. Now, I always knew these were important, but I didn't know what they were. But now I do. So what these did, these would go down, of course, the whole back of the animal, the spine, up to the neck, down to the tail, and these would lock like a tongue and groove along the backbone of the animal like this, right? These would lock in place with the set, I guess somehow the set in front of it and the back of it, down the whole animal, and that's what gave the rigidness to the spine. It could be flexible, but not like like a rubber band, like just discombobulated or twisting. This helped the spine remain rigid enough to keep the animal stable and basically together, but yet allow it to do its daily living and whip its tail and run. I'm sure they could probably jump if they needed to, and all that stuff. So these would lock in place to keep the animals back together. And the remarkable thing is guess what? Human beings have these same things as well. They're not called post-zygapophysis. I think they're called something else. But as you can see here, in the human backbone, we have these same things. And the spinal cord, right, you see, so right there with that hole where the spinal cord ran. So nature evolved, or evolution, whatever you believe, evolved or designed a way to protect the spinal column that's been in use for over hundreds of millions of years. So these hadrosaurs have it, and guess what? So do we. We have the same mechanism, and that protects our spinal cord, yet allows us to like move our back. It's crazy. But I forget what the name. It's not. It's a different like technical name in the human back, but it's the same thing, the same design, and it's evolution. Like evolution designed this way right there to protect the spinal column or the spinal cord, and then it dropped the mic and just walked away. And we're going to the grocery store buying our toothpaste, right? You're doing what you're watching TV, Netflix, and chilling, whatever you're doing. And these hadrosaurs were digging for roots, evading T-Rexes, building nests, and we all employed the same mechanism. It's kind of crazy, right? Some kind of design thing, right? Something's going on. So that's amazing. That's like an aspect from this fossil I didn't expect to unlock, but I did. And want me to tell you how I did that? Just a little side note. I showed this to AI. I was like, "Hey AI," I use a few, but I think it was ChatGPT. I'm like, "What is this thing?" And I took a photo of my finger pointing to this, like this photo right here. I'm like, "What is this?" And that's how we got down that rabbit hole. And we kept exploring. I kept asking questions. And then AI is like, "Well, yeah, you got the same thing in your back, buddy." I'm like, "Get out." And it's like, "Yep." I'm like, so it's amazing. What else have I learned? So I like the idea that this gave the animal the torque, right? This would have been extended, right? If it wasn't broken. Gave the muscle something to attach to. Now, why is this? Let's talk about what we see. It looks kind of like red dust, right? It's kind of reddish, brownish. It's got like a rust kind of hue, right? Rusty, which is correct because Hell Creek is iron-rich minerals. Like the soil, the clay is iron-rich minerals, which came down from the young Rocky Mountains, like volcanic minerals and everything that contained iron came down into the Hell Creek way back then, when Hell Creek was more like a swamp, kind of like Florida. It was like boggy, it was hot and like marshy, swampy. So when these dinosaurs died, they sank really quick. So we're talking about now how this kind of like formed, right? And why this looks like this. So the iron's what you see basically. So what happened was the hadrosaur died and probably sank quickly, because to make a fossil you have to die and then you have to sink quickly in mud or whatever, sediment. This hadrosaur was eating something or choked or just croaked of old age, died and was buried quickly in the sediment, and it remained buried forever. And what happened was the iron-rich minerals seeped into these pores and eventually replaced the organic material with a rock metal iron hybrid. And this is why it's heavy. I mean, it doesn't feel like a porous bone. It feels heavier than it probably should feel. It looks like rust, right? I mean, you see the hues here, these colors, like hematite, that kind of vibe. It's because the organic material's been replaced through that fossilization process within Hell's Creek, and the iron-rich soil has made this as I said, like a rock iron hybrid fossil. And it's just amazing. I mean, it feels cool. I mean, it's got a cool actual just feel to it. And these things, you can feel like they were worn from this animal just living its life, which is freaking amazing. Like 70 million years ago. And here I am, in my garage, staring, talking to an iPhone, talking to you, which I'm happy you're here to hear what I'm saying. And hopefully you're learning. If you want to find one of these, so we talked about, how this came to be, the animal dying, and why it looks like this. If you want to find one of these, I found this on eBay. If you live out west and it's legal for you to go to where these are and pick it up and take it home, then more power to you. Where I live, we don't have fossils of dinosaurs. In Northeast Ohio, we have fossils of ferns. We can do. You know what I mean? I would love to find something like this. Talking about... one thing I wanted to share that I thought was a pretty cool fact about, again, like the torque and the power of these animals, and how these bones were like anchors for these giant, muscles. And it kind of helps you visualize the size of these animals if you hone in your imagination. That, okay, this thing, if it was complete, would be about, I don't know, maybe like this big. And then imagine like a whole row of these, like, I don't know, like what? 43 feet long. And then like imagine like connecting more bones and muscles. Like you can feel almost the power of these things. But what I've learned is, so humans, our muscles, like you want to compare like dinosaur power to human power. How cool is that, right? So we can kind of get an idea of what these things can do. So human muscles made of what's called slow twitch fiber, which allows our muscles and us to go for endurance and stamina, long distance, things like that. Whereas dinosaurs have fast twitch fiber within their muscles. So now we're thinking about a snake striking, or like an alligator lunging, or an ostrich or emu kicking, or a crane getting that fish in that perfect lunge. So imagine a 50-foot, 20-ton hadrosaur whipping its tail at you. If a hadrosaur whipped its tail full, which is like basically made of stone, because the older these things got and the heavier they got, like their skin and their tail is like, I think it's called ossified, it becomes like stone basically. So imagine like the power of this fast twitch muscle being unleashed upon you. You turned it into like human confetti or like dust, and that'd be it. You'd have no shoes. You'd be gone. You'd cease to be even a thing. It's incredible. So these things were fighting T-Rex that way. I think with their tail. I mean, I don't have a time machine, unfortunately, but if I was a hadrosaur and I saw a T-Rex coming at me and I'm a little bit bigger than a T-Rex, I'm gonna wind up and bam, full power tail. And if you're that T-Rex, I mean, what are you gonna do? I mean, they probably had a lot of broken T-Rex legs, in the ER back then. But that's the name of the game. Hadrosaur were kind of like the last of the great dinosaurs. I mean, I read some kind of romantic quote, like the last stand of the dinosaurs. They were one of the last dinosaurs to exist, because the Hell Creek Formation features like the layer of like Earth where like you can tell where the pre and post that extinction event. I forget the name of it. Like it's got something like KG10 or whatever, KG9. I forget what it's called. But like when the meteor hit the Earth and killed all the non-avian dinosaurs, you can, I guess, apparently tell within Hell Creek Formation like this happened before, this happened after. So we can tell that way that these animals were like the last ones before shit hit the fan, right? What else can I talk about with this dinosaur bone? What am I gonna do when I run out of dinosaur bones? Someone asked me that, like, what are you gonna do when you run out of dinosaur bones? I don't have a huge collection of dinosaur bones. I mean, because they're kind of expensive. I mean, $100 here and there adds up. But I buy them, I buy one or two every, year or two, just to sock away for good measure and to talk to you fine people about. But if I run out of dinosaur bones, which I have a few more, I like this, my oldest bone show. It kind of strikes a chord with me and hopefully with you too. And I like the theme song, most importantly. This talking is a vehicle for the theme song mostly. I'm kidding. It's a coordinated effort. Just like the post-zygopothesis and the pre-zygopothesis. It's a effort. It's a team effort to keep stability and flexibility at the same time. So I probably gotta wrap it up because I'm starting to ramble. But I hope you've learned something about this. If you want to buy one of these, go to eBay. I think I was going to touch on that really quick. Go to eBay. This is my patented method. And look for the sellers that are kind of ragtag. Like, they'll take a photo of the fossil, but you can kind of see the boot and like a Taco Bell wrapper on the ground. Because they just found the fossil at their friend's ranch. And they maybe want some beer money or whatever. And they'll take a photo really quick in the back of their truck. And they're like, I don't know, $60. And then they'll find some like big rib thing, and they'll take another like quick photo in the back of the truck. They'll be like, I don't know, like $120. Where maybe these are worth, $400, $500. They could be worth a lot more. But some folks are just like, they just want to get rid of it, flip it, make quick money, and then do whatever. Though now this was from a pawn store, but just basically you just gotta look at eBay and just buy what you like. If you buy what you like, regardless if it's a fossil, a vase, a baseball card, whatever, well then that's it. A tattoo, get a tattoo of what you like. Don't get what someone else likes. Just if you do what you like, at the end of the day, you'll be the happy one. So I hope you've learned something today about this old bone. And as always, thanks for checking in.